Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Ravens versus Steelers this Sunday, 1 o'clock in Pittsburgh. This is the preview episode. We're going to dive into some matchups and just talk about some different things from both sides of the ball for both teams that may give them an edge or an advantage. We'll also do another $50 giveaway where I'll ask a question somewhere in this episode. Just watch the whole episode, like the video, subscribe, and comment your answer below. Closest answer after the game wins $50. Just make sure you're checking your YouTube replies. And with that, let's just dive into the game. So Kenny Pickett has a bruised knee, but he is practicing, and he said he's going to play. From everything I read, they're expecting him to play, so I don't think this is going to be like Cleveland last week when Deshaun Watson was like a game day scratch. I do think Kenny Pickett's going to play, and then Mitch Trubisky is the backup just in case something were to happen to Kenny Pickett during the game. The question is, how well is Kenny Pickett going to play on that bruised knee? Does it hinder him at all? The offense hasn't been playing that well for Pittsburgh anyway. So now we got a less mobile Kenny Pickett, I'd say. And I don't know the answer. I mean, usually Ravens, Steelers week does bring the best out of players. I feel like Pittsburgh always plays Baltimore pretty tough, but our defense is top 5 this year, and we're getting a lot of guys back. Our defense is going to get after him. They're going to put some pressure on this offensive line, on Kenny Pickett, and we've been coming after quarterbacks. And I don't think this week will be any different. Their goal is to make this Pittsburgh offensive line and Kenny Pickett extremely uncomfortable as early as possible. And I think they'll be able to do that. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game overall. And I think that the Steelers offense might have some moments, but is going to struggle again overall. And we'll get into the Ravens offense later. I'm not saying this is going to be a full one-sided game, but I just don't see the formula there. I don't see the players available. I don't see the health, and I don't see the history of this season going in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense in this matchup. I think it heavily favors the Ravens defense when we're looking at Steelers offense versus Ravens defense, and a hobbled Kenny Pickett. They're not going to have Pat Freiermuth at tight end. So, I mean, their main weapon by far in the passing game is George Pickens, but we got the number 1 pass defense in the entire league, and that's without a shutdown corner or anything. We haven't had Marlon Humphrey. We haven't had Marcus Williams. We don't have our pass rush with Odafe Owe or David Ojabo, but somehow we're still getting the job done. So I expect the Ravens defense to get the better of the Steelers offense. I think it's going to be hard for the Steelers offense to consistently stack drives together and put a lot of points on the board, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be a tight game. I just don't see how they have a ton of success. They do have solid physical backs. I'm sure they're going to be able to run the ball a bit. I don't think they're going to go off in the ground game because we do have a really good run defense as well, but I do think that they're going to run a lot, which will naturally, maybe have them have 100 yards rushing or something for the game combined, just because I think they're going to rely on getting the ground game going, because I don't see a way that they're going to have a ton of time to open up this pass game. So I think that the Steelers may keep running the ball a lot, and that's always a good formula and strategy to control the clock and keep the ball on your side, keep the ball out of Lamar's hands. So I think that may be the way they go. I don't think we're going to see some explosive Pittsburgh Steelers pass game. I think it's going to be a lot of running, and the Ravens defense is able to stop the run as well. I just think Pittsburgh's going to bring a lot of volume to the table. I think they're going to come into this game with more of a physical approach and try to play the field position and time of possession game against the Ravens. And they could have some success doing that if they can find success on the ground. If the run is completely shut down and we're just getting after Kenny Pickett, especially if the Ravens offense, which I'm going to get into in a second, if the Ravens offense is able to get a lead, we're just going to be coming after Kenny Pickett the whole game, and I think it could be a long day for Pittsburgh. But if they can find some success on the ground and control the clock, I think this is just going to be a tight, physical game, which is what you're more traditionally used to in a Ravens-Steelers matchup in the years past, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes in that direction. Let's flip to the other side of the ball for both teams. The Ravens' offense has also been inconsistent. Last week against the Browns, it looked great. Lamar Jackson was insanely efficient. We were able to find some success on the ground. We usually can run the ball, but Lamar was just dicing up with efficiency, making big plays downfield to Zay Flowers, moving Zay Flowers all around the field. Mark Andrews is back. He got heavily involved, and you saw this offense take a step up, but that was just coming off a week against the Colts where we had 4 or 5 fumbles and looked terrible and took a loss. So we've definitely seen some inconsistency with the Ravens offense, and this Pittsburgh defense is good, especially their pass rush. And they usually play the Ravens well. Historically, they've played Lamar Jackson pretty well. I don't remember Lamar Jackson just going off and having a crazy game against the Steelers. But the Ravens are coming off a great offensive performance against a top defense in Cleveland. So I'm looking to see, can we stack games? We keep comparing this year to 2019 a lot. And in 2019, around mid-season, week 6, 7, the Ravens just started to roll. We just started to really stack games. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. We're getting a lot of healthy guys back. I'm not sure exactly who's playing on Sunday, but the practice report looks good, at least compared to previous weeks. Odell's back. Although it be limited, he is back at practice. Rashad Bateman's back at practice in full. So I expect Rashad Bateman to definitely be back. And then maybe Odell, we'll see. I feel like they're being very conservative with Odell. I don't feel like he's that hurt. I just think that they're really trying to preserve him for later in the season and especially the playoffs. But regardless, Rashad Bateman's back. That's a huge help. Ronnie Stanley's going to be back. Huge help, especially against this pass rush. We're looking at TJ Watt and maybe Highsmith. Just saw in the injury report, Highsmith practiced Wednesday, no problem. And then on Thursday, he did not practice for a groin. So I'll be eyeing up the injury report to see what's going on with that. Usually when you pop up on the injury report and miss practice out of nowhere midweek, that's not a great sign, but if he comes back to practice today and is fine, then I'm expecting Highsmith to play. TJ Watt's obviously playing, and having both of those edge rushers is scary, I'll admit. So having Ronnie Stanley back is huge. Now, Morgan Moses, our right tackle, is also banged up. He didn't practice on Wednesday, but has since been practicing in limited form. So I think that's completely up in the air. I'm not sure if Moses is going to play. If he doesn't play, they might move Makari to right tackle or just keep Falele at right tackle, who's been coming in. Regardless, I don't love not having Morgan Moses, especially if Highsmith's playing. If Highsmith doesn't go and Morgan Moses doesn't go, I feel like it's kind of a wash. If anything, that probably hurts Pittsburgh a little bit more not having Highsmith. I feel like he's a really talented rusher to pair with TJ Watt, and that creates a pretty disruptive pass rush that can blow up an offense, can really disrupt the flow of an offense. You get a sack or linemen are holding because they're hitting the edge so fast. That just ends drives. So we'll see if Highsmith's playing or not. I would say Morgan Moses is completely up in the air, but that's something definitely to watch. But a huge deciding factor of this game is how well is this Ravens offense going to perform. I have faith that we are building towards something pretty great. Lamar's been playing really well, especially last week. He's been insanely efficient, more efficient than he's ever been his entire career. 74.3% completion rating, which is the second most accurate quarterback, only to Josh Allen, barely. So Lamar's the second most accurate passer in the NFL right now, and he's extremely efficient in this offense. Now, I'd like to see it open up a bit more, but I think that comes with weapons coming back like we're getting this week, and it comes with Lamar getting more comfortable in this offense, Todd Monken getting more comfortable with the play calling with this personnel, and just feeling out, the games. Every game's different based on matchups and whatnot. And the Steelers have traditionally played the Ravens really well. I know our offense is a lot different. We haven't been playing them with a full receiving core, a healthy Lamar, Zay Flowers they've never dealt with before. So there's a lot of factors that are new to this rivalry that I definitely think are a positive for Baltimore. I think if we're looking at Baltimore's offense versus Pittsburgh's defense, Baltimore does have a slight edge right now. And that's just based off the amount of talent that is coming back this week. So I'd like to see that build. I don't want to see a Colts Ravens slop fest this week against Pittsburgh, which definitely could happen. And like I said, and I'll go back to this defensive line that they have, the Steelers can disrupt the entire flow of your offense and just make it complicated for everything you're trying to do. If Lamar doesn't have a lot of time, if our line has to hold, it's going to be really hard to put consistent drives together. I do think that we'll be able to run the ball just because we always are able to run the ball. It's so rare for us to have like less than 100 yards rushing. And, a lot has to do with Lamar as well. Lamar is running still. Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. We're bringing Keaton Mitchell back. I'm not sure if he's going to be activated for this game, but keep an eye on Keaton Mitchell. He's a home run hitter. He's elusive. If he gets out in space, he can cause some problems. And I do think if Lamar can get some time, he'll be able to attack this secondary. The Steelers' secondary doesn't scare me. I think this secondary is a bit inexperienced and unproven. I haven't seen them consistently come together and dominate. I feel like a lot of the Steelers' success is based off their front. And that's all right. Obviously their front can be so disruptive. TJ Watt can single-handedly ruin everything you're trying to do, and then it doesn't matter what your secondary is. But if Lamar can get some time, I feel like there are some plays to be made downfield. And that gets us into the question of the day. How many total yards will Lamar Jackson have? This is a tougher one. It's a big number. Rushing and passing combined, how many total yards is Lamar Jackson going to have on Sunday against the Steelers? You can go over, you can go under, it doesn't matter. The closest answer wins. Just comment your answer below. Best of luck. So with all that, let's dive into some predictions. I got the Ravens winning this game 24-13. I think that both offenses have quite a bit of struggle throughout the game. I feel like the Ravens offense just does more, is able to do more because they have a lot more talent. Let's be real. The Steelers on offense just don't match up to the Ravens offense. And I know they're not playing each other, but I'm just saying I feel like the Ravens offense will be able to get the best of the Steelers defense more often than the Steelers offense can get the best of the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense is playing lights out. I don't know if Marlon Humphrey's going to come back this week. He's been limited in practice, and this is his first week back to practice in over a month, so they could definitely hold him out. But Marcus Williams should be back this week, and we already have the best pass defense in the NFL. Now, I think the Steelers can have some moments. I think George Pickens can make a catch or two downfield and make a big play, but I just don't think they're going to be able to string consistent drives together, especially when Kenny Pickett is dealing with an injury. This injury is going to make him less mobile. Not that he's a freak athlete, but he definitely moves around and extends plays. And I feel like in today's modern NFL, you need to be able to throw on the run and extend plays. Look at what's going on with Cincinnati right now. Joe Burrow's not able to move a lot, and their offense is struggling massively. And I just feel like Kenny Pickett a few times on Sunday is going to be a sitting duck. And I think this defense can have 5 or 6 sacks and really make it tough for the Steelers. I think they're going to have to rely on their run game and run with volume to try and control this game and keep the ball in their hands. Now, on the other end, like I said, I don't think the Ravens offense is going to explode. I wish they would. That would be obviously a really fun game to watch and be super exciting. And it's possible. We do have a lot of weapons back, but I just feel like the Steelers are going to bounce back from last week. Their defense didn't play physical, and we watch the press conferences. Mike Tomlin is going to send a message through that team. They usually rebound really well off a loss, and especially if it's due to poor tackling and lack of intensity. This game doesn't have a reason to have a lack of intensity. It's in Pittsburgh. You guys, the Steelers just got blown out. I feel like they're going to bring a lot of intensity and physicality to this game. And I'm not saying it's old Ravens Steelers, but I think it's going to be a really physical, typical division tough game. And I think it'll be pretty close for a while. The Ravens will score late to take a 2-possession lead, and just the Steelers aren't going to be able to score enough to match it. So I'm going Ravens 24, Steelers 13, but I'm expecting a good, tight, physical game. Let me know your thoughts and predictions for the game. Drop your answer below to the giveaway question. Hopefully you heard that. And yeah, I can't wait. It's an exciting weekend in Baltimore. We got the Orioles in the playoffs. We got the Ravens Steelers on Sunday. It's going to be a great weekend. I appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.